Well, the ABC's Tim Palmer is in Zarzis in Tunisia, about 100 kilometres from the border with Libya. He says the region is on the brink of civil war.
What you could say about today is that it really has, apart from those scenes in Tripoli, today's been the day when it's moved from being a popular uprising marked by demonstrations to a real civil war outside of the capital, Tripoli. The government mounted probably its largest counter-offensive today, starting at about 10 a.m. when they rolled into the western boundaries of the town of Zawiya, around 60 kilometres to the west of the capital, Tripoli, a town that's been held for some time and is quite strategic, held by the rebels. They launched an attack with troops in armoured vehicles and backed by heavy weaponry. There were scores of people killed, according to the scant reports we're getting from Zawiya, including very early on in that morning fighting, the commander of the rebel forces was killed. Since then, Libyan television, around late in the afternoon at least, said that Zawiya was back under government control. But there have been significant reports from people within Zawiya saying that isn't the case, that the troops have encircled the town. The town is effectively under siege and weaponry is still being fired towards the town, but that as yet the Gaddafi forces haven't overrun it. Continued reports we get today were of mass arrests, both prior to the demonstrations and during the demonstrations, of people being spirited away by the Gaddafi forces and their relatives having no word at all of where they've been taken. That was the kind of crackdown that was conducted today, along with those checkpoints. I think the Tajura demonstration caught them somewhat by surprise, because there were reports of significant numbers of militia rushing to reinforce that area before that demonstration was ended. And there was another much smaller demonstration in Green Square in the centre of Tripoli, but again, reports pretty scant. And aside from Jeremy Bowen getting to Tajura, most of the reporters in Tripoli who are in there under government control were kept for a large part of the day in their hotel, and when they were allowed out, they were only allowed on government buses, on the condition that they'd go to spots in the capital designated by the government. But I think the key thing is that within Tripoli, it still has the hallmarks of a popular uprising marked by demonstrations, not backed by any weaponry. People aren't ready to fight there, whereas out in the rest of the country, this is really starting to look like a standard conventional military offensive and counter-offensive. The situation has eased here as well in terms of the overcrowding, because so many flights have gone in and out of Jerba Islands, taking mainly Egyptian men back to Cairo. But clearly the UNHCR is worried, and I guess what you could say is that if the fighting in Zawiya is obviously going to be backed by huge military movements on the main coastal roads leading to this border point, that's what could be choking off the flow of foreign workers. They may actually be trapped from moving from places like Tripoli further west.